If you're thinking about something and you really want the other person to know about what you're thinking, then start looking for ways to tell them, start looking for ways to make them know. A lot of people tend to struggle with their thoughts because they don't know how to categorize them, they don't know how to name them, so they don't know how to sit with them. And there are different kinds of thoughts that require different kinds of action. So there are thoughts that would require you to sit alone by yourself to process without any external influence. But then there are thoughts that we're talking about in this video that you need to express to the other person, that you need to convey to the other person. For you, that's the action that you need to take on those thoughts to be able to deal with them. But because you're afraid of maybe negative feedback, because you're afraid of harsh criticism or harsh judgment, you're afraid you might be ridiculed, laughed at, rejected if you express that thought, then you hold on to it. But then holding on to that thought makes you uncomfortable, makes you uneasy, brings a lot of tension within you and conflict. So, what you do is you find something, usually maladaptive, to distract you from this uncomfortable thought that you're holding on to that you should have expressed. And so, you're going to either use emotional numbing, emotional eating to quiet the thought. You're going to use perhaps mindless scrolling on social media or binge watching on a series or maybe even alcohol. You're going to use something to distract you from these thoughts. But then whatever you're going to use as distraction is only temporary. Once the effect of the drug or whatever you've used to distract yourself wears off, then the thought comes back. And then you have to go back and use that substance to distract yourself or that behavior to distract yourself. Over time, you realize that you're stuck in a cycle where you use a substance to distract you from the thought from the thought for some time, only for the substance to wear off the effect. You come back to the thought, and the person is there, and you could express it too. But your fear of criticism or your fear of negative feedback from that person is much stronger than your fear for the negative effects, for the adverse effects that you're getting from holding on to this thought that you're supposed to let go. And you have to make a decision. In fact, you're already making a decision and you're not telling the other person what you're thinking about. You're choosing to submit to having the thought stay with you and cause you harm than letting out the thought and facing the consequences of having expressed that thought. And like I said, there are different categories of thoughts. There are thoughts that you want to express that should not be expressed, and there are thoughts that you need to express but you're afraid to express. And so you need to be able to develop this skill of identifying and categorizing these different specific thoughts and the action that they require for you to be able to create room for other things to do. Otherwise, many of us are held back, are held down by thoughts that we are supposed to express, but we're too afraid of consequences.